and welcome to Get the Table, another Wrestling Roundtable discussion podcast with myself, Adam Wilborn, and the Dadley Boyz of WhatCulture, Michael Hamflett and Michael Sidgwick, here to discuss another burning wrestling issue. Today, that issue, what needs to happen at Extreme Rules. Now, I will caveat this by saying we are recording this on Thursday afternoon, so if something major happens on SmackDown and the bloody White Rabbit debuts, then, well, this is all bloody pointless. But looking at the card already, Hamflett, 5 matches at time of recording, all stipulation matches. Vince must be doing his knots.
Yeah, I like that it is all stipulation because it should be.
Yeah.
Because it absolutely should be. This was once presented as this night of complete excess, and then you would have one match that was an Extreme Rules main event. It was crap plunder, the type which we'd now get on the 2.0 main event that was called a pub fight. Then it went a bit daft in the pandemic, because WWE went a bit daft in the pandemic and people were losing eyes. So we had to take a step back from that, but let's take a step forward to where we were. It's not getting reported much that this card has like extra significance attached to it, because Triple H has never just had a normal premium live event yet. He got the keys to SummerSlam given to him, and they'd already booked the guy that was going to lift the ring up. Smashed Clash at the Castle. I think we can all agree. Like, genuinely nailed that card. But now this is a quote-unquote normal WWE premium live event. The one thing that was still good about WWE under Vince McMahon's psychotic vision with these monthly pay-per-views, and Triple H has done such a good job with everything else. What if this is opposite land and he ruins it? Just a standard Common or Garden B show. I don't think he will, by the way. We're going to run down this card. I think this is a tremendous looking card. All the matches are showing, in my opinion, the results of, I don't know, it's never for everybody. Triple H is fairly solid and logical and well-plotted booking in that all of these feel like the most relevant stories on television. They're getting the big payoffs. This is all very old-fashioned, as if you still had to pay $50 for it. It's got that kind of vibe about it. All the things are pointed towards this show. And he just has to, the thing that has to happen to pay off the title is that he's got to deliver a good show. There is despite all the stipulations, it is my belief that there are way less bells and whistles to this. It's going to take place in a normal building. There's going to be no advantage of the fact they've gone abroad, first time in 30 years, Clash at the Castle. What's going to happen at SummerSlam? Because Triple H has got the wheel. He's in the job now. This is very much, despite the stipulations, it's a novelty wears off event, and there's a certain pressure to deliver to show that he can.
And yet, despite all the novelty stipulation matches, Sidge, I Quit matches, strap matches, ladder matches, etc., the thing I suppose we're all mainly looking forward to isn't on the card. I'm talking, of course, of Bray Wyatt, the White Rabbit. This feels like the show that he has to show that whatever it is happens.
Yes, absolutely. I'm looking forward to the card, just to echo Hamflett's thoughts. I'm particularly looking forward to the Fight Pit. I thought the second version was a bit overrated, but the first I could not believe, because when it was first promoted, NXT was big time on the decline in terms of the quality of the TV, showing us the complete lack of originality and new ideas, and that was such a great idea. Unbelievable, in fact. I thought it was phenomenal.
It was the one match the CWC was built for.
It was actually
just a shame they ran 100 times.
It was pre-CWC, I think.
Was it in the old, empty, what remained of Full Sail?
It's basically the same thing, just under a different name. But it was the first pandemic NXT where you thought, geez, they haven't completely and utterly lost the plot. It was just fantastic. I'm expecting great things from this. I'm expecting a level of quality too. Clash at the Castle, of course, it won't feel as special. But if, as Hamflett points out, it's never going to feel as special. If it can be great in spite of that special circumstance, then it's probably an even better feather in his cap as a result. But everyone's talking about Bray Wyatt. Seen this? Heard about this? Some QR codes and the like, and he's potentially got a new gimmick or whatever. Ultimately, yes. I don't think people are getting bored of this, but you can't drag it on too long. So ultimately, yes. If you pay it off at Extreme Rules, it's probably better than doing it on TV, because if you get a really great presentation and it's kept very, very brief indeed, and they tease an actual fixed, firm direction for what the character is going to do, the buzz will be massive on social media, and then that will compel people to watch the television. So I think that's a really good way of doing it, while at the same time telling the audience, still watch the premium live events. I know we do the vast majority of things on TV these days, because that's the important revenue stream. But, if you watch the premium live events, you can watch all this stuff as well. So I think it's quite astute to do it at Extreme Rules. If I'm booking this, looking at the number, I think it was a 0.70 in the 18 to 49, was the rating that the was it 923?
Aye.
The tease at that time, it shot up to 0.70.
Really?
Incredible, because people wanted to see.
And it held
Bray
around like the high
Wyatt.
sixes before that as
Yeah.
well. Like people are game for this.
People
Bang
are
game for it.
absolutely bang game for this. So I put him on SmackDown for a start. So I would have him target a SmackDown wrestler, and I would have him target, if he wins or loses, I think he's going to lose, Drew McIntyre. With the idea being that he's done everything he can as a babyface. He's pretty much dead in the water after Clash at the Castle. And when you have a character who's on the precipice of a new development, like a heel turn or whatever, and they haven't done that thing yet, beat them. And then they've got a motivation to turn heel. The usual pro wrestling thing of, oh, well, I'm not getting it done fighting fairly. I keep getting screwed. So I might as well. You like that one, Alfred?
Yeah. Got us there. You good accents.
I'm good at accents, famously. So, but you can beat him, Drew. And then he says, right, okay, well, I'm going to turn because I keep getting screwed. And then once he's on a new path, he'll disassociate from the babyface character and treat him anew. So, yeah, beat Drew. Beat Drew out the ass.
Law.
And then,
It's tied in law because of fighting Cross as well. TikTok on the White Rabbit videos.
Yes.
So there's even like dark character law with carrying Cross.
Absolutely.
And the other thing about that is as well, when the Fiend first showed up.
Why do you laugh when you say that, Wilborn? Is he not scary to you? Is he a clown? Does he amuse you?
Funny how?
Well, funny because you want to watch out for the comment section. He can't bury supernatural characters.
Not in front of the Fiend fellas.
You're not allowed to do it.
I'm not having a go at old.
So it's
Sausage
him. I've not said anything. I'm looking forward to it. Me.
But what I was going to say was, the Fiend really benefited from his initial first match being against someone, whether you're turning them heel or they're just giving some time off. Finn Balor, he just ran through him, obviously, at SummerSlam, and that was really beneficial because, like you say, you can't really have him come in and then go 50-50 again because it
Well, they did that for about 8 years.
Well, granted, yeah.
It was the most...
So they can.
It was the most confusing thing of Vince McMahon to not realise, despite the fact that he promoted The Undertaker for all those years, that in order to build a monster, they've got to monster people. Like, to monster one guy does not make a monster. And, yeah, they made that... Well, I mean, look, we've done millions of podcasts, videos, audios, all that sort of thing, and all the mistakes that were made with Bray Wyatt. I think... And it's all to, I guess, like Triple H's credit for installing a bit of faith in him as a booker so far. There is not just a curiosity around Bray Wyatt coming back full stop. There is a curiosity around Bray Wyatt returning to this WWE. I think it's safe to say there was no better place for him when he was suddenly
anywhere else.
When he was cast aside.
Well, Impact, yes.
Well,
but it doesn't work in AEW or New Japan. That's just the fact.
I think that's it. Impact was a possibility, but even then, like, there would have been an argument, and this is, I know, again, maybe this will annoy like the Impact truthers, but there was a certain thought that if he goes there, has he lowered his value forever? This Bray Wyatt character has to exist kind of on wrestling's biggest stage if you're going to be wrestling's biggest big bad, which is what he always wanted to be. So I think the WWE comeback was always inevitable, but coming back to this landscape is very different, and it's almost like, I don't know, there's more stakes attached to this because it does feel like the last throw of the dice with Bray Wyatt as a performer, full stop. Whichever version, Eater of Worlds, The Fiend, a new White Rabbit, whatever, like a new sort of, if there's a stable, whatever it is, it doesn't really matter. The point is, if it doesn't work this time, it never, ever will. And I think that's brought back a bit of the tension. I think we thought that The Fiend was the end of all this because Vince McMahon will never get this right. Vince McMahon's not there anymore. So having this one last go in these circumstances, I think is as much the appeal, maybe to the likes of me and Sidgwick, that will just never, ever be Bray Wyatt Fiend law guys. This now becomes what's interesting about it is him now rather than him what he was before.
I'm fascinated by this, genuinely, because look at the hype that surrounds Bray Wyatt, right? Can you imagine Papa Shango 9 years later going, could still work, guys? Like, absolutely, like, never, ever in the world would this happen. Yeah, I know the Attitude Era, the mock-ups did look cool, but no one realistically in 1997 was going, you know what this needs? Shango.
It'd been Shango with his head as well, wouldn't it?
They weren't saying this.
No.
The reason being is because he doesn't have the pull. The character doesn't have this incredible pull. Whether I like it or not is immaterial, quite frankly. The fact that 9 years after he was first botched into oblivion with that Ring of Fire match against Kane, and there are people who are desperate to see a version of it work. And as Hamflett points out, it's not Vince McMahon anymore. If it can work, it might under Triple H. This could be absolutely massive for WWE. And I can say that even if I'm not a huge fan of the act.
He's going to be heading into like pre-Royal Rumble season as well. Like Bray has the opportunity to make himself a Royal Rumble favourite. Yeah. Legit. Like this is the exact perfect time of year for him to do that.
Looking at the rest of this card, you got 2 championship matches, one an Extreme Rules match between Liv Morgan and Ronda Rousey, the other ladder match between Bianca Belair and Bayley. Who do you think leaves as champions in those matches?
I think I expect Bianca Belair to beat Bayley, but they've done as good a job as they possibly can, considering the time of year and the type of run that Bianca Belair's on, to try and make you think Bayley can. They gave that big pinfall win over Bianca Belair. They've put Bianca Belair in a situation where she doesn't need to be pinned to lose. You would expect Damage Control to be potentially running in on Bayley's behalf to try and help her while there's ladder climbing going on. This match, I think, will be good in spite of the stipulation. I don't know anybody that isn't sick of ladder matches at this point. Like, you get those, it's that Simpsons gag of size, angry size, when you hear a ladder match getting announced. And that's not fair on the wrestlers, because every wrestler to a man says they absolutely knack. So it's not fair that they have to like take these painful bumps for you not even wanting to watch them. But I think that's where I expect the quality to be in terms of these 2 matches. Liv Morgan and Ronda Rousey is a different and not entirely unknown prospect, but kind of an unknown prospect because of the stipulation. The bells and whistles might elevate this beyond the SummerSlam match in terms of quality, but now is the time to decide once and for all what exactly you want out of Ronda Rousey. The finish at SummerSlam was so terrible that they have finally got the babyface Ronda they wanted back in January. Like a real screw up on Triple H's heart. Like, if Vincent Mann was the guy that wrote this down, that should have been the first thing that Triple H put his red ink all over and changed, because they've doomed Liv Morgan and they're potentially on the verge of dooming Ronda Rousey and Becky Lynch by the reactions that Ronda has been getting as this like sub Steve Austin ass kicker with Adam Pearce over on SmackDown. So use this match to make, if it was me booking, to make her as cruel as possible, to set away something new with Ronda as a heel, probably with Shayna Baszler on SmackDown, the 2 of them running the show as they said they would, and think bigger than this story. There'll be another day for the Liv Morgan experiment to maybe go right second time around. Now is the time to start thinking about the value of Becky Lynch and Ronda Rousey and figuring Ronda Rousey out as a heel all over again. Use the Extreme Rules stipulation to make this as cruel as you possibly can.
Yeah. Because
there was a point where people adored Liv Morgan, and now
you got a glimpse of what they could have done on SmackDown last week.
Yeah, definitely. And it, like, as a baby face with all this fire and the willingness to do anything to win, like, put that across with the weapons and just make Ronda the nastiest version of herself. It's weird that they've got cheers, but flush them away.
Yeah, I don't know what they're going to do. I don't think Liv at this point, and it's kind of shocking, she's been booked into oblivion, quite frankly. I'm already thinking of, right, okay, if they need to get the Ronda Becky dynamic right, and they do, they've wanted this match for absolute years at this point, then it's going to have to, who's the best babyface foil to turn Ronda Rousey heel again? Because it isn't Liv Morgan at this point. They've destroyed her. They've made her look like a complete geek competition winner. And it's a shame, because she was over in enough online circles where you think, we've got something here. It is our job as a promotion to promote this clearly popular talent to a mass audience, and they've failed dismally to do that. And ultimately, I think at this point, the nicest thing to do at this point, unless you're going to bull Dallas Liv completely, is to just strip the title of her, give it to Ronda, introspect, think of a new path for Morgan to take, and just as an instant order of business, put it on Rousey, and then think about everything else later, because it's almost cruel at this point having Liv Morgan be the babyface champion. As for, what was the other title match?
Bianca Belair, Bayley ladder match.
Yeah, I don't know what to do here. And that means it's probably going to be dramatic, because I can't really see a clear winner or loser here. You've obviously invested quite literally in terms of 2 6-figure deals, in terms of Io Sky, who will obviously have had a pay rise, and Dakota Kai coming back full stop. Bayley, you want to keep strong because she should be part of the fabric of your company as a babyface at this point. So do you just have her lose? Or do you strap her up, because clearly Damage Control and someone else are going to form part of the Women's War Games match? Or do you have Bayley lose? They can win War Games, and then they can beat like a less protected babyface on that side, and then you can run Bayley versus Bianca back in December. Look, there are options to take, and the fact that I'm not saying, who cares, is quite good. And it means that you can actually trust in these long-term directions. So that's kind of what needs to happen at Extreme Rules. You need to, at the very least, offer a definitive winner, somehow get the heat back on Damage Control, have them win at War Games, and then he can run it back in December when they've got the heat and the credibility from winning the gimmick match.
It used to be, before there was about 16 world champions that could call themselves world champions, that heels would start picking up belts around this time of year because you want to start lining up baby faces for WrestleMania. This might be a little bit too early, but that's why you shouldn't be just like jaw on the floor shocked if Bayley was to win the belt. Again, because it's in a fashion where Bianca Belair hasn't had to lose it via having her shoulders pinned, and she immediately becomes, because again, I keep going back to the Rumble to WrestleMania season. I'm so interested in how that'll go for Triple H, because we should actually be looking at that from Survivor Series. So now's the time to start thinking about Survivor Series. This is the whole point of being invested in long-term stuff. So putting a belt on Bayley now, what that's actually doing isn't so much belting Bayley as it is taking it off Bianca Belair. So you start to think about if you want her to start making the long road back and like to yet again have like another WrestleMania show stealer. You start putting these ideas in people's heads as well.
See, this is what I was thinking. I think Bayley leaves as SmackDown Women's Champion. I think you're right. I think Ronda has to monster Liv Morgan and be really cruel in how she wins. Maybe so much that she's taken out and Liv Morgan can return at the Rumble into a nice crowd reaction, etc., etc. And I think you're right. I think it speaks volumes that this is a ladder match for the SmackDown Women's Championship, because I think they're going to be able to try and run this narrative of, all right, Bianca Belair lost the title, but she never had a shoulders pinned, and that's not happened in singles action for 300 or whatever it is odd days. You can even then potentially have Bianca Belair form a group of people who can then win War Games, and War Games you could have Bayley, Damage Guitar, and Ronda Rousey and bloody Shayna Baszler as this terrifying fivesome if you want to do something like that, or whatever it may be. So I think Bayley wins that, despite the fact I don't really want to see Bianca Belair lose any titles anytime soon. Sidge, quickly, the I Quit match, Finn Balor versus Edge, a tasty affair. I mean, a hell of a reaction for Edge on Raw as well.
Yeah, absolutely. They've handled Edge fabulously well. Triple H has since the comeback. He really feels like a less intense and therefore more endearing version of the legend that we've all loved at one stage of his career. I think under Vince, my God, the kind of faux acting, like trying to get Oscar bait stuff over was a bit much.
Big vein.
Yeah, the big vein, the stool, and how intense everything was. Now he's just a vengeful ass kicker who kind of knows his self and knows his worth. So I'm really looking forward to this. I think they can craft something big. Triple H has been talking about how he doesn't want to use blood. And I don't think he's allowed to use blood. I know the wrestler anyway, and he used to bloody use blood to get over. So I think if he could, he would. But at the same time, like some of his takeover booking was really quite brutal. I saw Adam Cole take bumps from the back-to-back chairs and all the rest of it. So I think Triple H will know the value of a proper grudge program, and he will sort of encourage them to go out there and work a match that feels brutal. I mean, look at Gunther and Sheamus. What an absolutely incredible war that was. He knows the value of physicality, does Triple H, even if he knows he can't really do blood and the like. So I expect this to be incredibly intense. Better than most people are projecting, quite frankly. I think this could be really quite incredible. I think I Quit's far better than something like Last Man Standing, because it's not... There is obviously stalling because you have to have some mic work and everything like that, but it doesn't feel like the momentum grinds to a halt. It just feels like, as long as the intensity isn't too much, it could feel like really, really organic and believable. Edge to win. I think Edge has got more of a chance of doing something weighty at WrestleMania. He's one of the most overstars in the company. We were in the building at Cardiff, me and Hamlet, and Jesus Christ, no hyperbole whatsoever. I was at WrestleMania 30 in New Orleans, and the Edge pop in Cardiff was as loud as Daniel Bryan's. Like,
wow.
Legitimately, this guy...
So sustained, wasn't it?
It was
incredible.
incredible.
The pop got him all the way to the ring.
Incredible to be a part of. He's not the biggest TV draw, but ultimately, WWE fans absolutely love Edge. And if you can give him as many wins as possible... and it's not as if Finn Balor is like this like young up-and-coming mid-carder with main event potential. Like he's 40 or something like that. I think his ceiling's gone, but he's great in the role. So it's not like one of these old, it's a disgrace if the older guy wins. Not really. Like, not really for me. I think Edge could do something really significant at WrestleMania this year and probably should go over Finn.
Yeah, well, and again, so I was thinking that Finn Balor might win, but then I suppose that speaks to the same as the Bayley Bianca Belair thing. Are they setting up programs where you could, like, there's no obvious winners and losers, but in a way that you're actually going to get drawn into the action? I'm thinking this could be quite a big night, a big win for the Judgment Day.
I agree.
I don't think, like, Triple H has pivoted slightly with the kind of stable they are. Like, he's kept some of the iconography about them being Derek, but otherwise they're a bad patter gang, and they should be.
They're quite funny.
And they should be, because they're heels. Like, you shouldn't really want to hang out with them, and that's what he's established in them. And and AJ Styles is now deciding whether or not he wants to hang out with them. I think he might have something to do with it. If not him, I could visualize, for example, AJ Styles making the choice
Oh, he's got something here.
I've got some.
I bet it's nonsense.
No, it's not. It's actually quite feasible.
Finn's worked Edge's legs, and Edge has got himself back up for the spear, but he's hobbling because he can play that role really well. And then, like AJ reveals his true colours, and those colours are purple and black. And he puts him in the calf crusher, and Edge is like screaming for his life. And there's a quit in AJ's, something like that. Or Dominic Mysterio is put under pressure, and Ray forces Edge to quit to save his son.
No, exactly. I've got your solution right, Ray. It's not that. It's Dominic still gets to play Dominic Mysterio, so that's good. Dominic tries to unmask his dad, and will do unless Edge says, I quit.
Great. Like, legit great.
That's good, actually.
That's really
Jesus
good.
Christ, Will Bourne.
Let's have a go with something good.
A broken clock is right twice a day.
We talked about the fight pit. Very quickly, your thoughts on it, and who you think should win it?
My thoughts are, I think it should main event. I think it's going to be the biggest night of Matt Riddle's WWE career because he will win. The match, how can you preview this match and not assume it to be absolutely fantastic? I don't want to raise the expectations so high that they can't meet them, but their singles match was really good. Their brawls have been tremendous. They're both in unreal form in ring at the moment. The stipulation, as we've seen with Riddle at least, lends itself to his style. Seth Rollins will, I would assume, as a professional, enjoy the test of this because he's passed every single other one that WWE could throw at him over the last 10 years. And he'll put over Matt Riddle in such a cool visual, in something that will be memorable. It's going to be a star. Matt Riddle's a star, but it's going to be a star-making night for him in a completely different way. And just might be the end of Seth Rollins' run as a heel as well. Wow. We are seeing these reactions that he gets. And, like, even he now is kind of caught in them a little bit. There's probably juice in Seth Rollins versus Cody Rhodes with Seth as a heel. But is there much else left for him to do as a heel at this point beyond going back to that match just once? I think the reactions that he are getting, that he is now being permitted to conduct and enjoy in the middle of his matches and in the middle of his stories, is telling me that there is one big loss for him before he just gets to embrace it. Seth Rollins is the type of heel at this point. All you need to do is have him be angry with a heel instead of a babyface, and you've turned him. Yeah. You don't need to change who he is. You just need to change who he's angry with. So I think this match seems to be the perfect place for that. He does deserve some comeuppance. As a heel, even if you enjoy cheering along with his music, he's been an arsehole to Matt Riddle at a couple of points during this storyline. And Matt Riddle, as you've seen, has wanted has wanted to claim physical vengeance and has never had the choice because of this and this. And he lost his head at Clash of the Castle when he had the one time to do it. He's not going to do it second time around. The surrounds suit him more than they suit Seth. Seth's been kind of dragged into it. All of this is just set up perfectly. Like, there's a 5-star ceiling on this. I'm not sure they can hit it, but that ceiling does exist. It's to everybody's credit that we've arrived at this point.
I would describe Seth's form in 2022 as dangerously good. And what I mean by that is it was getting a bit 50-50. The reaction in Cardiff for about a split babyface heel feud as it gets in the building. We know the sing-along's massively over. I think it's not necessarily that fun to sing. It's not Baltimore, but I just think the fans really want to extend their gratitude towards Seth, who's been like a massively loyal servant. He stood up for WWE when they were vastly unpopular. Like, I think they respect
three-sided pay-per-view, best wrestling in the world, period.
I know.
Three sides of the building.
Honestly, I think like he's played the role of the top guy in WWE, and I think they might award him with it, the fans. Dangerously good, so much so that he's been on fire. His work's been incredible. He's finally nailed whatever this character is. I don't get it, but I quite like it. Yeah. And the theme's over. Ultimately, he might tarnish Cody's return. Cody was super over as a babyface. He knows how to play that role tremendously well. He's going to have the inbuilt sympathy. But I would still be very interested in the reaction in that match because Seth is simply too popular among these fans to play heel for much longer. But I think he loses.
Yeah, Riddle.
He should lose as well, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let us know your thoughts ahead of Extreme Rules in the comment section or on Twitter at WhatCulture WWE. Well, actually, you can follow all three of us. You can follow Michael Hamflett at
Michael Hamflett.
You can follow Michael Sidgwick at
M. Sidgwick.
You can follow me at Adam Wilborn. Follow us all at WhatCulture WWE. As I said, make sure you subscribe to WhatCulture Wrestling wherever you get your podcasts from for daily wrestling podcasts. But for now, this has been Get the Table. My thanks to the Dadley Boyz. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you soon.